Okay, good afternoon everybody. I'm going to just give a brief introduction and then I'll get Sarah to join me. And welcome to the next part of our session around universal design for organisations. The part that I'm going to be specifically talking about today is around digital accessibility. And I'm going to take a bit of a different tack to what I normally do, which is go through the elements of creating accessible content. And I thought today, rather than do that, I thought the best thing to do was to actually speak or hear from or another A&D member who has actually started on this journey. So we're going to hear from Sarah Abbott shortly, and I'm going to do a very agile Q&A session. So rather than one where we're sitting down having a conversation, we're going to be standing next to one another, so in a very agile way. And then after that, we're going to do a short breakout session where I've got really two questions to propose to you, in which we're also going to do a bit of soul searching and searching for solutions. So first thing first, we have Sarah Abbott, as we know, the Senior Manager for Group Diversity and Inclusion at Commonwealth Bank. And Sarah's going to outline her strategies and approaches that they took to get cut through, influence and improve digital accessibility across their organisation, but also share with us on how universal design principles are changing the way their services meet the needs of their users. So I'd like Sarah to join us up here. Okay, so Sarah, we've even colour coordinated, high contrast theme as well, so have we got the memo right? So Sarah, we know that CBA has been working to improve digital accessibility for some time. How are you able to engage and get buy-in from other areas of CBA?
Sure. Let me know if you can't hear me. I'll share the microphone.
I think we better than that.
How's that sound? Everyone here?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking the camera. Yeah, at CBA we have a number of diversity groups that represent different parts of the people that we have as employees and also as our customers. One of those diversity groups is called Enable, that represents our employees who have a disability as well as our customers and anyone who is keen to be involved in that stream of work. We really have this model of self-determination at CBA, and this is a thing where you can really choose something that you're interested in and go for it. And we really do let people go for it. We have about 3,000 people at the moment who are involved in something to do with diversity and inclusion, something that spikes their interest, and we give them the space within their role to actually make that come to life. So we have Enable, and Enable sat down and said, okay, we are a rather large organisation. We have a number of different platforms for our customers and for our employees to do with digital, in the digital environment. These are working very separately to each other. There's no talk between the two, and we don't have a huge understanding of where we sit when it comes to digital accessibility. What are we going to do about this? So what we did is we formed a working group that was purely involved and concentrating on digital accessibility at the bank. And the whole premise of this is to embed into the process at the beginning, which is something that you've probably been hearing about all day today. Get it right from the beginning, and you'll save yourself so much money later on. It will be easier, and you'll get it right, and everyone will head off into the wilderness happy people. So that is the whole goal of this arm of Enable, and that's where we actually sort of teamed up with Media Access Australia to assist us with that. And I'll put it on the next one.
So how important is completing a business case to get things started?
Well, at the Commonwealth Bank we have 55,000 employees. We are one of the largest employers in Australia. We also have one of the largest customer bases in Australia. So if you put those two facts together in one sentence, there is your business case. You don't really need to go further than that to understand why digital accessibility is a must. When you have 1 in 5 people representing as having a disability, we have 55 and over, it's 45% of people 55 and over having a disability. That is the business case. So it wasn't hard for us to go to senior stakeholders and get the buy-in, because once you start looking at figures like that, it really is a no-brainer.
So Commonwealth Bank completed a digital accessibility maturity assessment, a DAMA as I call it, to affect change. What have been some of the benefits of that, doing that work?
Yeah, digital accessibility is one of those things, like an onion. You keep peeling back a layer, and there's another layer, there's another layer. There's this website that you didn't know existed, there's a program here, a program there, and you just look at it and you go, far out, where do I start, what do I do? This is, and I'm in diversity and inclusion, I'm not a technical person, so it's quite overwhelming. And we knew that we were doing some things really well, we knew that we were doing some things really badly. So we needed some experts to come in and say, let's do an audit, let's go to every single person in the bank, well, not everyone, there's many as we could carry across. Yeah, and get an audit of where we're at, what we're up to, and how it looked. And the good thing about that was, I actually met some people I've never met before and understood a bit more about them. But we learned who was doing it really well and how they were doing it well, and then we were able to take that information to the areas that really were at the beginning of the journey and say, okay, do you know these people over here, same company, welcome, talk to each other, this is what they're doing, this is what you could be doing, and this is what the result could be. So it's sort of like that warts and all, where are we at, what can we do, how can we learn from each other, and then from there going forward with a more clearer plan instead of just, okay, I'll talk to this person, I'll talk to that person. It's actually just getting a really clear plan going forward.
So, given that there were inequities between different teams and different people, how do you build your organisation's digital world in a way that includes the most number of people?
So what we've recognised very quickly is that we needed to hire an accessibility expert, someone who was going to be that truth out there in the wilderness, who would be the go-to person when it came to digital accessibility. So we're now in the process of doing that. From there, we have 48 Scrum teams. We work in an agile environment. It's very fast-paced and it's changing very quickly. So what we've done is we've identified one person for every Scrum team who will also be trained and have a good, deep understanding of what digital accessibility is. So they'll be the champion for that Scrum. Then everyone else in the Scrum will have a basic understanding and also a basic awareness of the why behind it. I think this morning someone was talking about the heart and the head and how important they are. We find that to be really important as well. But if you don't have the buy-in from the person and that understanding as to why they're doing it, they're less likely to be actually doing it. So we've built some empathy videos, some of our staff who use the CommBank app and how it affects their life and how important it is to them, and demonstrating to the people who build the CommBank app, look what you've done to Simone's world and how much easier you've made it, and this is the reasons why you do it. So that's the basic understanding for the 250 developers, and then you have the Scrum team managers and then the accessibility expert. So it's more of a pyramid style, like anyone.
So what are the actions, the habits, the processes that ensure that this continues when those passionate advocates leave?
We do love the passionate advocates. We rely on them heavily, and we have some amazing people who just push this agenda so far. And often we think, what would happen if they left? And we can't rely on them. We can't make them the reason why we're accessible. It has to be ingrained into what we do. It has to be part of the definition of done. It has to be embedded into our processes. And that's our goal. So what we've really done, and we're quite proud of how we're making, and I've heard it a lot today, is that accessibility is so much higher in the priority list than it ever used to be. People are getting it. It's not such a hard sell as it used to be, which makes our job so much easier, which is fabulous. But we do have a lot of awareness campaigns at the bank. So we have an expo every year in Sydney, and we're having one in Melbourne as well. We bring all providers in for the day. We have wheelchair basketball, Guide Dogs Australia, Vision Australia, We have a number of sessions on disability confidence and awareness to build people's understanding so they can avoid those awkward moments where they, what do I do here, what do I do there? We talk to hiring managers about the benefits of hiring someone with a disability. We have recruiters there available, so that happens every year. We also do multiple things. Tomorrow is accessibility, digital accessibility day, and we're having some stands out in the foyers where you can go and test what does JAWS look like, what's a screen reader, how does it affect when you code, just so people, it's no longer foreign, it's just part of what we do. So throughout the year there are multiple different events happening, just to build it into process, to no longer be foreign, so people have it more risen to the forefront of their mind as opposed to something in the back of their head.
So what advice do you have for other organisations pursuing digital accessibility within their organisation? Have you got any specific ideas?
Yeah, embed it into the process. Make it a part of the definition of done. Don't leave it to afterwards when you get a complaint and someone says this isn't accessible, then you go back and you go far out, it isn't. Make it part of the process. And I think it's really important to get your people leaders along for the ride, to get them up early, to make them understand in their heart and in their head the reasons why. One thing we find is that there's a lot of competing priorities when it comes to building a product. There's a deadline, there's a cost, there's time commitments, and there's always going to be something that's going to drop off the list when a developer's building that product. We don't want accessibility to be the thing that drops off the list. It has to be part of the definition of done, or else the product isn't done. So that's what I really suggest that you aim at too. And one thing that we find is really positive is because we have quite a broad reach, we also have quite a broad reach when it comes to suppliers. So when we are going externally to suppliers, we will ask for accessibility to be built in to their definition of done as well when they're providing a product for us. And that means that our footprint is bigger than just us. And you find that there's people that will be then learning, what does this mean? Commonwealth Bank's asked me to build this thing, it has to be accessible, how do I do that? Better go and find out. And slowly, they let little ripple, that wave that starts to flow on just from us to other people to other people. So hopefully making a difference in that regard. And yeah, I'm really pleased with the successes we've had so far.